It's the show!
Didn't get your 10 seconds of silence to take the background.
I let you
now.
have the majority of them.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Good evening. It is March 31st, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. Hey, asshole. What separates our show from other millennial news podcasts?
My delightful singing.
Yes, that's
clearly true.
Extremely wonderful. We have a boomer. And not just any boomer. We have Mr. Boomer Rex himself.
I feel somewhat objectified by those words.
Yeah, you've said that a lot recently.
Yeah.
Get over it. You two eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and I'm learning. That's three unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round table. Let's dig right into our headlines.
All right, so you got...
Invasive ants and killer fungi.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, Texas has a problem because they're right there on the southern border, and as the climate changes, various creatures come north.
You know what I feel bad for?
Oh.
The brain-eating amoebas. They've got to be very hungry.
Well,
They probably eat brains of fish, though, right?
That's true.
yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah.
And whatever waterfowl and such.
Do you have any idea how many Texans it takes to get an ounce of brains? Anyway, so they
Love you, Texas. You're the best.
They have crazy ants, and they move oddly, but they swarm and they do all kinds of shitty stuff. But mostly they emit formic acid.
Oh, that sounds delightful.
So when they invade somebody's burrow, they blind their little babies and various things. They also eat other ants so they just wipe out all kinds of local critters.
Oh, no.
And they're attracted to electric boxes. So they, yeah. Anyway, they're a nuisance.
Sounds like it.
A few years ago,
If I didn't already know Texas was a hellhole, I'm convinced now.
A few years ago, somebody noticed that there was a population of those that had distended abdomens and that they died. And so they dissected a few and they found a fungus. And that fungus eats crazy ants like crazy. And so you can take some crazy ants, infect them with the fungus, and turn them loose. And they go join the other crazy ants and murder the whole damn hive.
Nice.
So anyway, Texas is now getting ready to dispense some of these treated ants into environmentally sensitive areas. So
Nice.
But it has worked in the one place they tried it. Totally.
And this fungus has not affected anything else.
Doesn't appear to. Just the ants.
Cool. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
I love natural ways of murdering bad things. That's always good.
I like
I like it when you're right.
variants like the sterilized mates and stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, that's pretty cool. I can't wait
Where
to see
you've got sort of a predictability of the lifespan.
Created them and, yeah.
It's a closed circuit. I don't have to worry
which
about...
this kind of isn't.
Yeah. This is like when they were going to teach whatever mold it was to eat poppies. And, like, that's cool.
Everybody know what kudzu is?
Yeah.
Okay. So kudzu was imported to the southern U.S. to control erosion in the 30s. When I was in grade school, I met one of the botanists who had been part of the team that did that. And as a reminder of how bad this mistake was, he kept a single kudzu plant in his extraordinary greenhouse. Oh my God. That kudzu plant, which was, it was probably 12 feet long. The end of that plant took a turn around a 1-inch steel pipe every hour.
Yep.
You could, if you sat still, you could watch it grow.
Now, this is a type of bamboo, right?
No, kudzu is an ivy.
Okay.
But yeah, same thing.
It climbs houses, it climbs trees, it climbs telephone poles. We'll have to find you some pictures of kudzu. I see Asshole is working on that. So anyway, we have poisons for it now. But it definitely controls erosion. There's no doubt about that.
Fair? Oh, yeah, no, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
you sleep like the
popular
dead
in
the
Florida.
night the kudzu gets in your field.
It's not popular.
Not popular
in Florida.
anywhere.
It's eating Florida.
Yes.
I didn't say, yeah, I just said I've seen it a lot in Florida.
It's common.
Yeah. Damn. I couldn't imagine watching a plant grow. That would creep me out.
Yeah, it creeped me out. Anyway.
All right, so right-wing Dems reject labor nominee. What the
Scumbags.
fuck? Tell me about this.
Yeah, real scumbag. Well, it's your standard. It's Manchin, it's Sinema, and
One surprising answer in there.
Mark Kelly.
Yeah, well,
No,
they got
maybe
him in
Sinema introduced him to some of her benefactors.
I hope he had fun in Congress.
So here's a guy. He was the author of The Fissured Workplace, which examined large corporations and their habit of classifying workers as subcontractors or franchisees
Right.
to cut costs, avoid responsibility for ensuring their working conditions, et cetera, et cetera. He's harshly criticized companies like Uber and Lyft for pretending that their employees are
Contractors, yeah.
independent contractors rather than employees. He was a candidate to run the wage and hour division, where he would have overseen regulation and enforcement of overtime, minimum wage, child labor, etc. This was the perfect candidate.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, hey, working folks, the Democratic Party let you down. They failed. And hey, Democratic Party, when you get fucking stomped in 2022, and when you have to bow down to President Trump in 2024, this is a self-inflicted injury, you assholes. America has to work for all Americans. But this is the sorriest thing that's happened this week. This
and especially
this is a
since-
betrayal
So
of working
what
people.
I really want to know
And I'm not going to vote for Mark Kelly.
Is
I'm
on-
going to vote for his Republican opponent, no matter who they are.
Yep.
Fuck him.
I want to know what grounds they denied this.
Well, I periodically get a request for money from Mark Kelly, so the next one's going to go back with a vitriolic email, and we'll see what Mark Kelly's staff has to say on the subject.
Don't fuck up, Mark Kelly's staff. This is your chance. God, no, dumb. Especially since we know wage theft costs the American people more money
Yes.
than crime.
Yep.
Wait, hold on.
And this
That's
was
one
the
of those.
ideal place to stop
Yeah.
it.
Well,
to
no,
make
that's
it not happen.
that's one of those. I think we've find one of these words, because if it's the thing that is illegally taking most of the money, that's the crime.
Yes.
All the other stuff is bad customer service and drug deals and a handful of other things.
Yeah. No, this is, hey, Democrats, this is what happens when you don't have enough of a majority to grab your loose ends up by their shirt fronts.
Yep.
And Mark Kelly, I'm ashamed of you.
Yep.
And your wife would be too.
No, she probably is.
What?
She is, I assume.
Yes,
Okay.
I liked her.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Russian troops
I
never
liked
read
her.
Phoenix Rising by Karen Hesse.
What?
You never read the book Phoenix Rising by Karen? 1994 book Phoenix
No.
Rising by.
No.
Okay.
So we're talking about
so-
Russian troops?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the first places the Russians took over when they came into Ukraine, was the site of Chernobyl.
Yep.
But apparently they didn't bother to talk to the folks who were there as caretakers of Chernobyl, because they went and dug trenches in the Red Forest.
You would have to talk to the fucking people there to know that was a bad idea. Like, as soon
Well,
as...
no. The Red Forest,
Yeah.
most of Chernobyl, you can walk around.
Yeah, because
Right?
we didn't have a big old cloud of burning shit go
Yeah.
over it.
No, the Red Forest is a no-go area.
Yeah.
You don't walk there.
No, you
And
have
they
to
went
wear a
in-
full suit and a little beeper, and you get until the beeper hits a certain whatever, and you have to fucking leave.
Yeah.
So they went in and dug trenches. So the reports are that several busloads of them have been evacuated to a special medical facility in Belarus.
Read Mass Grave.
Right.
I was thinking about that. So, again, they got sick and they abandoned their posts. So they got sick pretty quick. But they were digging, which means they've inhaled it, they've
Yeah.
ingested it, et cetera, et cetera.
They're fucked.
Yeah, once you get it in, it's very, very hard to get it out. Again, if to take an example, there was a reactor accident where several of the people in the room got 1,000 rats.
Yeah.
And all but one of them lived. But the point was, that was from the outside. These were, X-rays and gamma rays and so forth going through them.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't from inside. They weren't contaminated internally. They had simply been irradiated.
Yeah. They got splashed with it, not
Yeah.
their body trying to make bones with it.
Again, it's an extraordinarily big dose, but it just went through and tore up stuff.
Yeah.
And if I can keep you alive, you'll eventually heal. This isn't that. They are contaminated. Their lungs are contaminated. Their gastrointestinal tract is contaminated.
Yeah.
I don't think the outcome of this is going to be good.
I don't think the outcome of this is ever going to be public.
Yeah, that's probably true too. There are also reports that they looted a laboratory on the compound, which
we talked about that a while ago.
samples.
and it contained samples that could be dangerous in other ways.
Yeah.
And so they carried these off. So, way to go, guys. Fuck me.
No, so the reason why I labeled this that is because the book Phoenix Rising by Karen Hesse, which is Hesse.
Yes.
Fun. Hess. This is why I don't like pronouncing names. But anyway, so she wrote a book about a similar Chernobyl type event happening nearby, and this, little girl, like they take in this kid, and he has radiation sickness, and she's trying to stay away from him because she knows he's gonna die or whatever. And then he starts getting better. So she starts, getting to know him and started hanging out with him, and they become friends. And then, because the way radiation poisoning works, he suddenly dies. You feel
Wonderful.
better before you feel worse and then die.
Always love it when they
Yeah,
suck
that's
you
a
in.
24-hour period.
Yeah.
Fine. Sorry, I was picturing a longer timeline than that.
Again,
The Walking
this
Ghost
is,
phase is like
yeah.
6-7 hours.
I
Right,
think
like,
again,
depends
this
on
is
dosing, but
this is a fiction
Yeah.
novel, so
Yeah.
she might have stretched it out to to push the issue kind of thing. But I read this in elementary school. I just remember it being a good book. It was sad, but it was a very good book.
No, yeah.
So again, if they had read this book, they would stay away from radiation areas.
Yeah.
These not good things. All right, so Boomer Rex's about damn time. Tell me the good news.
So it turns out there's more and more evidence that federal investigators have finally waked up, and they've started to gather information about the fundraising and organizing for the January 6th riot,
I'll point out, so far, they're following exactly what I said they'd do.
as well as looking into the false electoral college
That I
delegates.
was impressed by, so I take it back.
So subpoenas have been issued by a grand jury in Washington. The looking at the alternate slates of fake electors from the swing states, at contributors and participants in the organization of the January 6th pre-riot riot. The one where they stood them up and told them they're going to have to fight for their country, and yeah, that one.
Right.
Anyway, so maybe we got them waked up. We'll see.
Yeah. No, the electors is a good thing because that's the part that matters, right? The storming of the Capitol is nearly an irrelevancy. It's not good.
Yeah,
but,
the storming of the Capitol are the pawns. You need to go after the bishops and rooks.
yeah. No, and that's why I was saying, right? If I were Ali Alexander or this other idiot who they've got her fucking text messages and she's crying about it. Because, she wasn't afforded due process when they subpoenaed her. Like, yeah, the subpoenaing you is exactly that.
Yeah, so that's a
Violating due process would be storm ninjas, and they just take your phone, shoot your dog, and any other electronics they find on the way out the door.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. Shut up.
Yep. So anyway, maybe they are waked up. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe Milquetoast Merritt has
Hey.
put his people to work. We shall see.
All right.
Again, Democrats.
If it's already so fractured that moving the DOJ fast on this will cause a violent schism, that needs to happen then.
Let's get rocking and rolling.
It is not safe to pretend that the government is fine if you think you're about to lose control of it.
Yes.
That's how we end up Russian-style kleptocracy and not fucking sunburnt Somalia.
Oh, wait. Normalcy bias. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about the dumbass of the day.
That wasn't Mark Kelly? Anyway.
Oh, no. That was the traitor of the day.
Yeah.
So the Marine Corps veteran, the young-looking one, the one who has a vaguely Hitler mustache. Anyway.
Hardly narrowing it down much.
So he got up and testified in his own defense today, and he probably should have been stopped.
Hey,
but what the
Hitler
hell?
stash is regs.
Yeah.
Don't wear the Hitler stash, the internet.
So Nima Rahmani said he wasn't credible, and his testimony is inconsistent with their other arguments. He made a mess of his defense.
They don't choose
So-
jarheads for oration skills.
Yeah, no, huge mistake.
No, what exactly tale of woe would you tell to get out of this, other than,
Yeah.
right, the pandemic was horrific and I was radicalized online, and
This is the guy we were talking about the other day with the threatening of the judge and...
It's the case, not the guy. The guy is one of 4 defendants who were going to...
Okay, fine.
Kidnap
so
Whitmer.
this is one of his buddies.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
and thank God that we have some level of proof that this idea existed before FBI snitches got involved.
Yeah, no shit. And then prosecutors pointed out the inconsistencies in his testimony and their defense and so forth.
Yeah,
And then he admitted that he had thought of ways to murder the Democratic governor.
What the
He
fuck,
said-
bro?
Quote, "You proposed doming her." Said, "Correct." The shoot her in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
so
Just-
didn't he say he had fantasized about assassinating her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Don't fantasize about assassinating people, the internet, but if you do, don't fucking tell anyone. God damn,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
And listen to your lawyer, because I'll bet you
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't.
Oh, God,
Oh,
what
well.
the fuck? And at the same time, if I were that lawyer, man, I'd have had a text message and sent and had one of my paralegals pull the fucking fire alarm. Or start a real fire.
Start a real fire out in the lobby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whatever works, right?
Fuck, man, you gotta do your things for your client. Like, shit.
So we have an adversarial system of justice. Oh, Lord.
All right. New audio about Ronald Green killing released.
So,
Yeah, I hadn't heard about this.
Chris Hollingsworth, former Louisiana state trooper, on his body camera video, can be heard saying, quote, I beat the ever-loving fuck out of dead black motorist Ronald Green. This is the guy, he attempted to get away, ran into a tree, or otherwise, disastered his car.
Yeah.
They dragged him out, they kicked him and punched him and beat him with a flashlight and tased him repeatedly, and then tried to tell his family he died in a car accident.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Man, you cannot run from cops. I understand the impulse and all of that, but if you can see them, you can't run.
Yep. Anyway, so
Not that that makes any of what followed okay. I'm just...
yep, AP has obtained a 2-hour interview, the records of, the recording of, and you've got him, telling investigators, I was scared. I mean, he could have done anything once my hold was broke off him, and that's why I struck him.
That's how they're trained.
Yeah, well.
Aye, no shit.
Anyway, Green's death is under federal investigation, also being investigated by a committee in Louisiana State House.
So in 2 years,
His family
we'll get
was
better
told
answers.
that he died in the car crash, but 9 body camera and dash camera videos.
Oh, see, this is a whole different tale.
Yeah.
No, because I told the main perpetrator was already dead.
Yep.
That leaves 8 motherfuckers to talk to.
So Hollingsworth was set to be fired for violations of his body-worn camera car camera systems, use of force, performance, lawful orders, and for conduct unbecoming
Maybe
an
that's why he always
officer,
backs into his calls.
but died in a single vehicle auto crash on September 21st.
Oh.
So, well, thanks. You saved us a bunch of money there. So, and a lot of time in court.
Yeah, no, and part of me, the vicious part of me wants to say fuck with his pension and the rest and the payout for his family, and at the same time, I'm sure they've paid a high fucking price too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about these other 8 motherfuckers.
Because typically police who behave this way behave that way at home too.
Yeah.
There's a huge problem with spousal abuse and
Yep.
so on. So, anyway.
All right, so let's move on to who is funding voter suppression efforts across America.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this organization, and I thought their name ought to be out there. So this is Bethesda, Maryland-based Diana Davis Spencer Foundation. And their website says their mission is to promote national security, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, free enterprise, and to enhance quality of life by supporting the arts, education, global understanding, yada, yada. They have been providing funding to some of the right-wing groups that continue to promote the, big lie, and have found to be, pushing voter suppression tactics in states across the country.
Right.
So, just a wonderful group.
Sounds like it.
They've donated $4 million to 13 voter suppression groups. And many of those grants are designated for election integrity. So let's be really frank about this. Election integrity is a Republican dog whistle.
Yes.
There is no evidence
No.
of meaningful fraud anywhere in the U.S. electoral system.
Not even a little bit.
And election integrity is the Republican code word for suppressing black and brown votes.
Yep. And old
Period.
people. Yeah. Arizona.
Suppressing old people is a big mistake if you're a Republican.
For sure.
So anyway, some of these voter suppression efforts will backfire in some places.
Wow.
And
The
possibly
anti-COVID
backfire.
stance is backfiring.
Well, we saw that Texas did their voter security stuff, and they went from rejecting.
Oh, that's right. Didn't they reject a quarter of votes out of?
They went from 2% to 17%.
Jesus fuck.
Nah, I'm sure that's not a bad sign.
No,
I'm sure making it harder to vote is going to work out great. And Democrats, you got to overcome this. They're doing the stuff that got us consent decree on them last time,
Yep.
and enabled the passage of the Voter Rights Act.
Yep.
So let's get this to the Supreme Court, because at some really evil level, there's a part of me that wants to go, Lincoln suspended a Supreme Court.
Yep.
And, they've got some part of the army. That's fine. Send the commandant over to explain. You have 72 hours. After that, the Marine Corps will be here, and the Marine Corps is going to take you.
Yep.
I don't care how impressive a unit you are.
Well, if you look at recent appointees and then Clarence Thomas, and it's a kangaroo court.
Yes.
It's got
Which
at
is
least
why
3
you suspend
kangaroos
it.
on it. Yeah.
All right. So Ben Shapiro wants to make children's cartoons to teach them racism. Tell me about this.
Yeah. So anyway, he's says he grew up loving Disney movies, but Disney's just gotten so political, so they're going to have them a bigot version of Disney and make them some.
This is fucking conservapedia.
I know it is. It's just hilarious.
Have fun, dum-dums.
Yeah. So, but
This
anyway,
is going to be an endless source of fun.
will you actually call it the bigot channel, or will you find something else?
He's going to call it Racist Are Us.
Let's see. The KKK called it the Cool Kids Camp.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
There you go.
Cool Kids Channel. Done.
Oh,
Cool Kids Channel.
Yeah.
That channel with the K will fly.
No, good luck, dum-dums. This is going to be hilarious. And it actually shows at some level we're having a success we should probably talk about. That they're
Which is
realizing
Disney is.
they have to start earlier in recruitment.
Oh, yeah.
Disney's having not white princesses. Awesome.
Yep.
Hey, and
Oh, no,
Stop pretending they're not princesses, Disney. That's fucking dumb.
Yeah,
and kind of like
And it's
racist.
okay.
his big complaint is the gay characters
Yes.
that they're.
Oh, I'm
throwing
sure.
out.
But
And kissing, gay kissing, is horrible, horrible. I tell you, how dare
Oh
you?
my
have
God.
gay
but that
kiss.
means that they know they're not right.
Yeah, they're losing.
They're losing before they're in junior high.
Yeah. Yeah, you got students all over Florida who've been marching around with
All
gay
right,
pride
Disney.
flags.
All right, Disney. I got you on this. So how you come back at this, right, is you come out with Frozen 3. And Elsa meets her female lady love.
Oh, God.
And they have a big kissing scene at the end of the movie, and they come together, and it's beautiful.
If you want to know what Disney's going to do, look at what China wants.
What does China want?
Don't know. But that's going to be the determining factor in what Disney
I'm
does.
not sure China cares what color the princesses are, though. So,
I don't believe that's true at all.
really? Asshole says he thinks China does care what color the princesses are, and when he gets back here, we're going to ask him why he thinks so.
Well, I don't know.
If he gets back here.
How did China receive Mulan? Would be my bigger question.
Yeah, right.
All right. So,
It's
here he
one of
comes.
the main contributors to why Hollywood continues to refuse to give people of color leading characters. China wasn't a big fan of the Black Stormtrooper either.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Hell, look what they did with Mulan for the live action one.
I'm
They
still
get
mad
iffy
they
about
got
Winnie
rid
the
of
Pooh
Mushu.
for some reason.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to updates with BoomerRex.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see. That's an interesting thing.
Yep. So, anyway.
Omicron.
Omicron. So we now have some monitoring systems in place that are looking in the sewers for early evidence of upticks and so on. And we've seen an uptick in the sewers in the Northeast, which is pretty much where all of our previous surges have started. So no reason to panic, but we may have a surge coming. We shall see.
Anything about this new variant?
There's a new variant.
Yeah, XE.
Oh.
It's not, I don't even think it's labeled as a variant of concern. I just saw someone talking about it and saying it's more contagious. Right? Every time I used to play the little Make a Virus video games, that was always what I did. I focused heavily on contagion
On contagion.
until the very end.
And then you
Yeah.
upped the
Well,
lethality.
Yeah, because once you start making bleeding from the eyes zombies, people are like, ooh, we should make a vaccine.
Yeah, okay.
When it's just the sniffles.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
All right. So,
And
Don't
then
make
climate
viruses
weirding.
climate variant. Yeah.
More tornadoes, including some in Florida,
Yeah, I saw that.
right? So
Good luck, iguanas.
we'll get another chance next week. If you didn't get a tornado this week, this weekend, you'll get one next week, late next week. So anyway, it'll be
Alright.
fun.
Everybody's looking forward to it.
Yep.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to a discussion this evening about normalcy bias. So I found an interesting article
Excellent.
on gizmodo.com, which is GIZMODO.com. It's called The Frozen Calm of Normalcy Bias, and it's by Esther Inglis Arkell.
Okay.
When disaster strikes, some people lose their heads, some people become cool and effective, but by far, most people act as if they've suddenly forgotten the disaster. They behave in surprisingly mundane ways right up until it's too late. Around the world, researchers are wondering how to combat normalcy bias.
Well, first off, remember, it's an adaptation to avoid panic. Right? It's humans are a group animal. They're looking for leadership.
Well, but it's also, certainly in the United States, the very broad absence of any, local memory of how to deal with disaster.
Yeah.
Right? Because we simply haven't had them. Now, I expect if you went to places where Katrina was really bad and so forth, you'd see less of that, and you'd see people who were leaving early, and
No, and I
if
community.
you were in Europe, your parents or grandparents, right, would have told you stories about going to the basement to hide from the bombs right. So
Unless they were poor and then they were forced to stand outside the train stations.
So here's
England didn't want the pores in the things. It wasn't until they showed up in mass and broke the gates down they started allowing them to hide in the train tunnels.
Scene right out of Titanic. Oh, God. Didn't
Okay,
want to mix them with the
so-
better folks.
this affects 70% of people
Yep.
in a disaster. In any
Yes.
disaster.
That's actually, that number is why I think it's an adaptation, not right. That's a big enough chunk of them. That's intentional is not the right word, but when we look at like the big fire in the grocery store, when we look at all of these things,
Yep.
where you'd expect panic,
Yep.
there actually isn't panic. Right,
But
there's
they're
panic
also
at the-
not taking effective action.
Yeah.
Okay, so he gives a real interesting example that kind of shocked me when I read it. When two planes collided just above a runway in Tenerife in 1977, a man was stuck with his wife in a plane that was slowly being engulfed in flames. He remembered making a special note of the exits, grabbed his wife's hand, and ran towards one of them. As it happened, he didn't need to use it since a portion of the plane had been sheared away. He jumped out, along with his wife and a few people who survived. Many more people should have made it out. Fleeing survivors ran past living, uninjured people who sat in seats, literally watching for the minute it took for the flames to reach them. This isn't unique behavior, although plane crashes provide the most dramatic examples. People seeking shelter during tornadoes and cyclones are often called back or delayed by people doing normal activities, who refuse to believe the emergency is happening.
Yep.
These people are displaying what's known as normalcy bias. And then that's when it talks about 70% of people in a disaster do it. Although movies show crowds screaming and panicking, most people move dazedly through normal activities in a crisis. This can be a good thing. Researchers find that people who are in this state are docile and can be directed without chaos. They even tend to quiet and calm the 10 to 15% who freak out.
Yep.
The downside of the bias is the fact that they tend to retard the progress of the 10 to 15% who act appropriately. The main source of delay masquerades as the need to get more data. Scientists call this the milling. People will usually get about 4 opinions on what's going on and what they should do before taking any action, even in an obvious crisis.
Yep.
People in emergency situations report calling out to others asking what's going on. When someone tells them to evacuate or take shelter, they fail to comply and move on, asking other people the same question.
Yep.
This isn't entirely loopy behavior. If something minor seems wrong in your neighborhood, office, or home, it's hardly inappropriate to ask people around what's happening. And how many of us have heard a suspicious noise nearby, paused for a moment, and then thought, I'm sure it's nothing, and gone back to what we were doing. The problem comes when even when it is obviously something, people stay in denial.
No, but we've seen a good example of this in The Gift of Fear when they talk
Yes,
about
I was thinking that too.
when you go down, right, you hear a noise downstairs, and you go downstairs, and if you aren't careful, your brain is looking for reasons that it's okay, right? That you really don't want this thing to be happening. So it is looking for any excuse to go, oh, it's not, I misunderstood. So, because you're much more comfortable being wrong in a way that doesn't cost anything. And I think it's also the intersection of most people don't have, right, first aid training or
Right.
any of the stuff that would, right, kickstart you into work the problem, whatever it is.
There are a lot of theories for why this occurs. There's even the shock itself and the time it takes to process it. Even people who are well trained and well informed lose some of their knowledge and physical acumen under extreme pressure. Some researchers blame instincts. Animals that don't struggle during an attack overwhelmingly by an overwhelmingly large predator are sometimes left alone. The passivity indicates sickness or poison and puts off the predator.
Yep.
Faced with a threat that's overwhelmingly enormous, many people may instinctively become passive as well.
I add to that there is an overwhelmingly diagnostically interesting thing of people that freeze during violent confrontation probably got touch me issues. So I think we're seeing, right, some chunk of this is it hasn't worked, right? Struggling and freaking out hasn't worked previously. So some level of learned helplessness, but not really that.
Right. Other researchers believe those with normalcy bias are playing the odds. People step onto those dangerous looking roller coasters every day and scare themselves half to death, trusting that the situation their instincts are screaming about couldn't possibly really be happening. Rounding out the theories about normalcy bias is the idea that people need information in order to act. If people don't know how to deal with a situation, they can't begin to deal with it, so they don't begin to deal with it.
This misses several of the other things we know about, right? People tend to avoid and leave situations where they don't have the necessary information. I can agree with the right lifetime of roller coasters has trained people to not worry. Again, when 9/11 happened and the huge number of people who were probably too young to correctly process it were working on how good the special effects were. Right, but even adults were saying that at the time. And so, no, I think you can get people so outside what their expectations can encompass that they simply stop processing.
Nothing can be done about sudden shock and natural instincts, so most researchers try to deal in increased information. This is why we're given countless safety lectures. Look at the exits and plan your exit route. In the event of an earthquake, a fire, a flood, do this. Drills and practices, even if done in a person's imagination,
Run, hide,
at least
fight.
give them the basic tools that they need when dealing with an emergency.
That is the basis of every block of instruction on, right, from first aid on up, is here's a list of things to do to start.
Right.
Once you can get your brain going and you're doing some stuff and you've got your hands moving, you're kind of calm.
Yep.
Because if it's that big an emergency, you're already all on fire and dead. Like,
no, it's the whole concept of duck and cover.
yeah.
Yeah, just give yourself something to do.
That's why the safety briefings on things that you'll never have to deal with, because, when it's going crazy and one of the engines is going so loud because it's broken and about to come apart, you might remember that.
Right.
It's why I used to work in a pool store, and we carried pounds, like hundreds of thousands of pounds of chemicals.
Yeah.
And our boss would tell us every week, because we'd have meetings, would tell us every week, there are no heroes in this building.
Yep.
If anything catches fire, and he had us wear sneakers, because we were salespeople, so we'd be dressed up nice. You had to wear sneakers, because if you needed to run,
you needed to run.
You needed to friggin' run.
Yep.
And he said, there are no heroes in this building. Everybody runs as far away as possible, because if we went up, the gas station next door was going to go up. The gas station across the road from that was going to go up. The whole place was going to go. So, but again, this was drilled into me to the point where I worked there when I was like 18, and this is still drilled in my brain.
Yes.
Get away from the chemicals. So there's just one more paragraph, and then we can officially discuss now that we have all the information. More complicated from a policy standpoint is the need to personalize the risk. This information that the present disaster will harm you, yes, you, so take action, is the hardest to accurately disseminate. People mill asking for opinions because they want to be told that everything is fine. They will keep asking and delaying until they get the answer they want. In a completely alien emergency situation, such as a downed flaming plane, people think of the likelihood that they're mistaken about the nature of the emergency and the consequences for screwing up if they take personal action.
Yeah.
Although early warning systems, alarms, and alerts proliferate, very few things manage to get through to specific people that they are in personal danger, that they are on their own, and that they need to take steps to save themselves.
Yep.
Yeah. So
no, that was the morning of 9/11.
Right.
I was headed to work until the second airplane. And I turned around and started home thinking about, where do you take shelter? So
no, this is why. So So this kind of makes me worry for a lot of reasons. So you know how in Florida, they joke about hurricanes and stuff, and people do hurricane parties, and nobody takes hurricanes seriously if they live in Florida. Now, one of the concerns that I have with my parents, having lived there for several years now, is that you know how they do those spaghetti models?
Yep.
Several times the spaghetti models have shown the hurricane going directly over or like within miles, right?
Yes.
10 miles or so of where my parents have been staying.
Yeah.
And each time it then gets
It
pushed
turns,
out or moves this. So they say, well, it's not a problem. It's just never going to come to us. It's the way it's the way the ocean is. It's the way the this comes up. It's the weather. It's the blah, blah, blah.
I'm always amazed.
It scares the shit out
not
of
of
me.
your people, but like this made me think of it, right? That some of the least informed motherfuckers all of a sudden become experts in shit
Yeah.
that they're using to justify a thing. Again, not talking about your people because I've talked to your people. They're not dumb.
No.
But I'm talking about
I
the
think it's
genuine, active, dumb motherfuckers who you'd barely trust to remember you'd make them write down your order for lunch. Who are all of a sudden going, well, no, you see the topography of the... Bitch, spell that word.
The kind of people
Define for me what it means.
the kind of people you order your sandwich plain with everything on the side, so there's no way they can fuck it up.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
No,
just bring me
it's-
back pieces of a sandwich. I'll make it. Fuck it. I don't...
Yeah. Okay. Here, I'll come with you.
Yeah.
No, and hurricanes are actually a good choice because with climate weirding, the thing that we're seeing from hurricanes is the explosive growth, which means that all it takes is a little tiny change in the spaghetti plot, right? And where you were going to be a near miss for a Cat 3, you're now a direct hit for a Cat 5.
Right.
And by the time the wind starts, it's too late to leave. Your choice is endure it in your house or in your car.
Right. Can I tell a quick fun story?
Sure.
So one of the jokes that my family likes to make is we have a family friend who every time that there's been a hurricane, she's like, if she's evacuated or whatever, it goes wherever she's evacuated.
Okay.
Or if she's staying,
hurricane
it
magnet.
hits wherever she is.
Yeah.
So they've decided that whatever
stay
she
away
does,
from her.
we do the opposite.
Right.
If she stays here, we go away. If she goes away, we stay here. And I'm just like, no, that's not how this works. I love you guys, but I really hope you're just joking.
No, I have always been impressed. My uncle was a lawyer, of all things, and they lived in Metairie, Louisiana. And when Camille came for them, he put his family in the car and he drove 100 miles north.
Right.
And they checked into a hotel.
Yeah.
Turned on the TV, and it was the storm of the decade. So they checked out. They drove another 100 miles north.
Yes.
Went in, turned on the TV. It was the storm of the century.
Oh no.
They checked out, and they drove another 100 miles north. And I've always been impressed that he was the one who understood you don't want to be in the path of this storm.
No.
And
Well, and the problem is these storms are getting big enough that it can cover most of Florida.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They are getting big.
yeah, no.
So I did a lot of research when my parents bought their condo, because I was like, I need to know about hurricanes. If they're going to be moving down there someday, I need to understand how this works. All a hurricane really needs to get good and going and to really rev itself up, 100 feet of warm water.
So you mean
Guess
all of the
what?
Gulf of Mexico?
Guess what climate weirding is making?
100 feet of really warm water.
More, I bet, than
Yeah.
100 feet of really warm water at this point. Because, so Florida actually gets their hurricanes from the African coast.
Yeah.
So you can watch them as the storms move off of Africa and into the ocean.
Yep.
You can watch them gather and start to collect. And then they start feeding off that warm water.
Yep.
And then they start moving through the Bahamas and on all that stuff.
Yep.
And then, boom, right to
Up
Florida.
into the Gulf and
Right up to Louisiana. That
Yep.
whole section there, Texas, all of them.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's-
everything that's fed by the Gulf, right? Because the Gulf has warmed significantly.
Oh yeah, it's
So, gonna be lots of
freaking
fun.
bath water.
Yep. Oh, so much fun. No, but I want to point out that one of the things that helps with normality bias is knowledge, training, right? Having something to do.
It's just a roadmap.
Right. And so I look at what's going on in this country politically and realize we don't have any historical instructions for what to do.
Right.
And whereas there are a number of places in Europe and a number of places in especially Eastern Europe that know exactly what to do,
Yep.
right? Which is gather food and go to the basement, or
Right.
right. So,
The runs on food we're seeing in Russia right now.
oh, it's just getting started.
Oh no, I know,
ridiculous.
but like I
Yeah.
was watching the news the other day, and you see people
No, they
fighting
understand
over
the
sugar. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we had people fighting over toilet paper.
Yep.
I never understood that. Like, what the fuck?
It's the thing they can buy in large amounts. That, you know, the
That is
feeling of
never
a
gonna
full
go
fridge.
bad,
Bingo.
yeah.
Well, but it's also something that's hard to fake,
Uh-huh.
because at one point we actually went back and bought the RV toilet paper because it was all we could find and we were about out.
Yep.
So anyway,
No, I remember walking through the aisles every grocery
No.
store in my town.
No, I
every
hadn't-
Walmart empty.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought of your point if it doesn't go bad, which also explains the runs on rice, beans, the
yeah,
long-term dry good foods.
yeah,
Because I think at some level, unless you're really fucking dumb or young, you understand that what you can eat versus what you would willingly eat, those are two completely different spheres.
yep,
Well, and when
And
you're talking
hopefully
stuff,
they never fucking touch.
when you're talking stuff like flour and sugar,
Mhm.
you can keep that basically indefinitely as long as you keep it dry.
Even if the bugs start hatching in it, it's
Yeah, no,
fine.
it's
fine,
just
'cause it's
protein.
You're
Yeah.
cooking it anyway. It's
Yeah.
not gonna hurt you.
Even if you're barely cooking it and making hardtack, it's fine.
Yep.
You can drink water with an oil skin on top of it. One, try and get your lips below, so you're actually getting just water. But
Yep.
even then, you can drink a fair amount of horrible shit water.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I want to talk more about this normalcy bias as far as our politics, because that I think is
Yeah.
really important right now.
And-
And I feel like a lot of people are missing that fact,
No, there's no-
especially millennials.
No, they keep
Well, their experience is
This is just how it is. This
Ah,
is how
the-
it's always been.
the boomers are as well. You know, the boomers are sharing little happy-go-lucky memes and, you know, I can't wait till we get back to normal and so forth. And that, first of all, the normal we had, right?
bread nonsense.
40% of Americans could not survive an unexpected $400 expense.
I think it's
This is not
Yeah.
good.
The 40's
This
a
is
good
not
hard
normal.
limit.
What?
When you say the 60% can't afford it, you're talking about some of those houses make more than $100,000 a year.
They just don't manage their money
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Or they're
No,
living
the
on the cusp of
40%
a,
is
right.
can't.
Yeah, no, exactly.
40% it ends them.
Yeah.
So
no. I couldn't even tell you how many times I almost got completely screwed because of a $400, $600 car repair bill, and if
Yeah.
I didn't have my parents to help me out and be like, "Look, I'll just pay you
Yeah.
back," that would have screwed up everything for me, right?
yes.
Yeah, no, the number of humans I have seen simply walk away from a car because it was towed, and that was it. That was the game right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my coworker who had her car towed because it wasn't licensed. Now, how she managed to do that, I don't know. But anyway, $350 by the time it was over.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she got it the next day.
Yeah.
Oh, fair.
So
But yeah, everyone alive has no experience with America being something other than this. Right? The polarizing rhetoric has gone up and all the rest. Like, yeah, so have a lot of actual things happening.
yes. And we don't have a history. We don't.
Well, and the people that want to shout the most about crime, awesome. Why aren't they also the ones shouting the most about the rise in hate crimes, the rise in... And the answer is because they're talking about crime for a
because they're
narrative
committing
reason.
them.
Yeah. Or at least don't care, right?
Yep.
Because that's not happening to people like me. This is I care about the crime that happens to good
Right.
people like me.
Without recognizing that it's the desperation, the failures, and a completely and utterly broken system of justice
Yeah.
that are responsible for this. And until we fix those, Nothing's going to get better. It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
So, and at some point, there's a trigger point out there where it gets dramatically worse,
Yeah.
where we go over the
The
edge.
growth is non-linear.
Yeah.
No, right now, because there's enough things to hide behind, and think of 3 good things today, and all these little listicles. of
Yeah.
Reasons not to go up in a bell tower. Internet, don't go up in a bell tower. But
No, I had an interesting discussion.
But if you go up in a bell tower, I have suggestions on which city.
don't go up. Take pictures.
I had an interesting discussion with an old high school friend of mine who used to be a cop, who was telling me that, he enjoyed what he did, and he was telling me, how careful he was and stuff, and that he left because he had people above him who he respected who were getting, fucked over by new, by new management, so to speak.
Yeah.
And how people were getting, pushed out by not paying them enough money, and they weren't allowed to tell each other how much money they were making, and so new people were coming in making more money than the
Making
people
it just any
who had
other
been
job.
there for 10 years. And that these people aren't being properly trained because they don't have enough new recruits, so they have to let more slide than they used to, because they used to have thousands of recruits, and they'd be able to pick 2 or 5 or 6 good ones, and then they could wheedle those down to the perfect candidate, right? They can't do that anymore. They have to let more stuff slide. They have to lower their standards. They have to shorten the training so they can get people out there faster. This is the problem that cops are living with right now.
Well, and that they don't have this year's class if they don't seize enough assets in entirely too many cities.
Right. But it was extremely interesting. I learned a lot. I was like, wow.
No,
because that's everything we've been talking about, and I just confirmed it with somebody who used to do the thing.
Yeah.
And this is one of the problems, is that, no organization will willingly let itself go extinct. I'm not saying police should, but I'm saying if they are forced into this position of having to fund themselves,
They'll find
they
a way to do it.
absolutely will.
Yeah.
Right, and if that means they have to wait until
As
bingo lets
anybody
out
would do.
and shake, yes. No, any organization, I promise you, if the Marine Corps had to come up with a way to justify its existence,
It
I
would.
don't think it's bake sales.
No.
Yep.
I mean, there'd probably be some bake sales, and that'd be delightful. But there's going to be a lot of suddenly they came out of the sea, and everyone who was being bad is not a fucking problem anymore.
And all the money that they had stashed away is somehow missing.
Uh-huh.
Buy us an airship. Go to our Patreon.
Marine Corps, kick in. I'll totally let you use it for some interesting shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll even fly you there.
Yeah. And they're immune to small arms fire, guys. Plus, I'm telling you, we could hang sound weapons off the side.
Ooh, I'm liking
I'm
it.
gonna make the emu sound, but on a city crushing scale.
Yeah.
What about the brown note? Can we research that more?
There's not much there. There is a flashing light TSA is looking into that'll make people vomit.
Ooh,
So I'm thinking a disco
that sounds
ball,
like fun.
and I'm wondering how tinted you have to make.
Oh no, the problem is then you'll set off all the kids that
Yep.
have
Yep.
Yep.
not schizophrenia, fucking
And probably them too.
yeah, probably not
Epilepsy.
too, but- Epilepsy. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
Yes.
It's not flashing, but I'm sure it works better if it does. Yeah.
No, one of the Japanese animes stumbled over the frequency.
Yep.
Pokemon. We used to laugh about that all the time because we all loved Pokemon back in the day. That
Yep.
was our big thing in high school, and yeah, we giggled. We watched that episode a bunch of times, and we're all like, "I guess none of us have epilepsy. That's bad." But yeah, it was real trippy. They had
But
to
there are
actually.
definitely noises.
They took that off.
No, as far as normalcy bias, this is what makes 7 to X-10-year-olds horrible to talk to. Because they've been alive exactly long enough to kind of know what their day is going to look like.
Right, and they assume tomorrow's going to look the same.
Yeah. And this is just the same thing carried off into adulthood.
Yep.
So, and that's great if, it works for you, but that's an ever-narrowing group, and that's probably a mistake.
Yep.
Right.
Because sooner or later, historically, someone's going to take your poor and downtrodden and put them in charge. Or at least promise to,
Yep. Well, again,
and
they're
ride a tidal
pawns.
wave of blood to power.
Right.
All right. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe.
Comment,
Do you love us?
comment.
Do
Tell
you
somebody
hate
comment.
us? Go to BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, on Facebook, and you'll find us there. And YouTube, we are BoomerRex. And then you can YouTube search BoomerRexTonight, and it will take you to us. We are on Twitter at BRexTonight. And what else did I want to say? Is that everything? Did I cover? Oh, Patreon. You can find links to our Patreon also on our BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, Facebook.
Which is where you can help us pay for the airship.
Yeah, that's how we're going to get an airship. So go there, sign yourself up, sign your friends up, that dude you just met at the bar, that girl you just met, I don't care. Sign them up while they're not looking, when they run to the bathroom, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
You do you.
Seriously, Democrats, stop fucking up, man.
Yeah, seriously.
God damn.
Yeah.
So we love you all, and it's Thursday, right?
All day.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see you back here tomorrow night on Boomer Rex Tonight.
Good night,
All
Peter.
right.